going to make a visit to Venezuela. Wait. We haven't decided. Are you from Venezuela? From Colombia, sir. We share a border with Venezuela. We just had a good meeting with you.
Stop everything. The geopolitics of the Western Hemisphere just shifted in under 15 seconds. Trump is actually going to Venezuela. This isn't just a meeting, it's a massive power play that's going to rewrite the rules on energy and borders. You need to see how this connects to the massive money move happening in the background right now.
Joe, the president couldn't have been more clear. I couldn't have been more clear a couple months ago. I had an editorial in the Wall Street Journal just saying we got to get rid of the filibuster. You know, in game theory, the best known game is the prisoner's dilemma, and it's like who moves first. And if you have bad actors in the prisoner's dilemma, which the Democrats are, then you should move first. Like, you know, it's kind of kill or be killed, and clearly that Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, the Democrats basically had nuked the filibuster, but they refused to go along with it. And guess where they are? They're both sitting at home now, hopefully watching your show. And you know, I think the Republicans need to be smart about this. And I think that maybe the filibuster doesn't get withdrawn for everything, but there are things that we've got to do, you know, like voter integrity, and we've got to keep the government open. I mean, look, we are on the verge of another government shutdown, and the Democrats think this is the way to hurt President Trump, but they're willing to hurt the American people. We had the biggest or the longest shutdown in history. The economy still did great because all the initiatives we put forward, but I think that we have to get on with the people's business. And if the Democrats shut the economy down again, it is a sign that they are bad actors. They don't care about the American people, and we ought to move forward, not let the government shut down, have voter integrity, and many other.
Wait, did you catch the game theory logic Scott Bessent just dropped? He's basically saying the GOP needs to stop playing nice and move first. Think about it like a high-stakes poker game where the other side has already shown they'll break the rules. When he mentions the prisoner's dilemma, he's pointing out that if Republicans don't nuke the filibuster for things like voter integrity, they're essentially choosing to lose. It's kill or be killed in the legislative sense. Notice how he brings up Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. They were the last line of defense for the old way of doing things, and now that they're gone, the gloves are completely off. This isn't just about a bill, it's about a total restructuring of how Washington functions. If they get the 50th vote, the entire landscape of American elections changes overnight. It's a bold, surgical move that the media is absolutely terrified to talk about.
Energy Secretary Wright confirming yesterday that the revenue generated from selling their oil.
Have there been any other oil sales since the initial sale?
Absolutely. Sales today are over $1 billion. And in fact, we have sort of short-term agreements over the next few months that'll bring in another $5 billion.
Okay, and that money will go directly to Venezuela?
That money will go into an account controlled by the U.S. government and released to authorities in Venezuela, subject to audit in Venezuela and subject to continued positive progress in addressing American issues with.
Here.
Good financial numbers, very low inflation. We brought costs way down, and the numbers were surprising, except me, they weren't surprising. So the inflation numbers that just announced, as you know, are way down, and we have it back in track. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have very modest inflation, which is...
You have to love the confidence here, but look past the rhetoric at the actual numbers he's citing. We're seeing core CPI drop to levels we haven't touched since 2021. The great tariff shock that every economist on TV promised would destroy your wallet, it never happened. In fact, it's doing the opposite. By forcing production back and leaning into domestic energy, the cost of living is finally cooling off. Trump is taking a victory lap because the worst inflation in history is being tamed faster than anyone predicted. When he says it's back on track, he's looking at an economy that successfully navigated a massive policy shift without the predicted crash. It's a complete rebuke of the traditional consensus that said tariffs always equal higher prices for consumers. We're watching the birth of a new economic model in real time. Check out that Dow chart. Crossing 50,000 isn't just a round number. It's a psychological barrier that has the shorts absolutely panicking. Remember when the media told everyone to dump their 401ks because a market crash was imminent? If you listened to them, you missed out on a 20% gain in record time. The S&P 500 is closing in on 7,000, and the momentum doesn't look like it's slowing down. Trump's prediction of 100,000 on the Dow by the end of his term sounds crazy to some, but look at the trajectory. It's being driven by national security and trade protectionism, two things the market used to be afraid of, but is now embracing as the new stability. This jobs report is the most underrated part of the whole week. The federal government lost 34,000 jobs, while the private sector added 130,000. That is the exact opposite of the bloated bureaucracy trend we've seen for years. We're seeing the de-governmentalization of the workforce. When the government stops hiring people it doesn't need just to pad the numbers, and the private sector starts picking up the slack, that's how you get a healthy, sustainable economy. It's about moving the talent from the desk of a regulator to the floor of a factory or a tech startup. That's where the real growth happens. The world is changing fast. If you want to stay ahead of the next major move, hit that subscribe button now. Don't miss the next update.